switch yours to turn on the mics? Or is there like some main
that one.
switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't press the talking.
Not that one.
Not that one. You know that.
Do that.
Test. Yep, we're good.
Hot mics, hot mics.
I'd like to welcome everybody. Can we have a roll call?
Colleen Oquist.
John Eggert. Rick Wallner.
Tracy Salzberger.
Pam Deneke.
Citizen participation. Looks like we got a big crowd today. Not everybody talk at once. Pam, as far as the minutes, I don't see where I got a copy of the minutes.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. I was having some printing problems today, so I forgot. That was the one thing I forgot to print. Apologies. I could go print them, and we to have them, then we can review for the. We can approve them later in the meeting. That
Okay.
works. Because I'm just going to press print right now, and then I'll bring them back.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on to financials. Everybody had a chance to review the financials that was given. Any questions?
So I think we had, when we were here in for our April meeting, because we didn't meet in May, there were still some questions about the monthly and the heads and beds versus the revenue. So I think that those questions, at least from my perspective, were answered in the May report in her updated spreadsheet that has the statistics on it. I feel like the numbers make more sense and a little bit more context of collecting some of that money. But I'm happy to, if there's additional questions, I'm happy to direct those to Elisa if we're still not quite sure. Because the month to date and the year to date are based on the I guess that's where I still get a little confused. Because the month to date doesn't necessarily, 31. So it's kind of this balance sheet is her one report, and then this is more for us, which is kind of what I pay attention to, the lodging tax statistics. So I don't know that her report, because of the way it's being collected with some of it back, she's having a report on that front document of how it's hitting the bank versus what the actual collection is. So. I'll let you guys look through that while I go get the minutes.
Do we want to approve the financials separately, do an approval of April and then an approval of May?
I think
Probably
that's
should.
So that we have two different.
Probably should, since we missed last meeting. That's a good point.
I would make a motion to approve April 2024 financials.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass those as presented then.
And then I would make another motion to approve May's 2024 financial information.
I'll second.
I have one question. It looks like we had there had been, because April's was so low, May's going in so big, so we must have had a late payment, I would think.
Yeah, and I believe she did send an email that there was some late stuff on there.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, so I've got a first, do you have a second to approve the financials for May?
I second.
Well,
Who first? Who was the first?
So I made a motion for April.
Okay.
Colleen seconded, same with May.
Okay.
All in favor on the financials for May?
Aye.
Aye.
So,
Yeah, that's reflected again on the, yeah, when you look at the lodging
Yeah.
statistics page that, yeah, April was down.
We wanna go back to the minutes?
sure, I can do that.
Has anybody got any questions as far as the minutes for?
Just real quick on that, Elisa did send a email that did say that past payments had been made. So that does copy that. I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. So since we didn't meet in May, I just wanted to give some updates of some of the projects that we've had ongoing. So the Destination Development Mentor Program, which I'll remind you was the program through CTO where we applied. It wasn't a monetary grant, it was basically 100 hours of consulting. So we used those hours to work with Amy Cassidy to create the Tarantula Tourism Working Group that we had that included local law enforcement, state, federal partners, all of that. So Colleen was on that committee, and I included in your packet today the program summary report, which I think I'm very excited about. You'll be able to see all of what we did through the meetings, and we came up with the draft themes and content, actually the approved themes and content. A news release that was really helpful, and some talking points, and these talking points just kind of hit on the main themes of what was discussed. So I included that report in your packet for you to go through. I did want to go to the page that has the themes and the information, because I'm really excited about these and how they turned out and the messaging that we'll be able to use. So the idea behind this is, the theme will be, and we won't necessarily say theme, but we'll say plan ahead for safe viewing. Tarantulas aren't dangerous to humans, stopping on the road is. Respect private property, tarantulas only beyond this point. View with care, tarantula love is tough love, let's not make it tougher. Protect our habitat and heritage, tarantulas are only part of the story. And be tarantula expedition ready, how to prepare for a tarantula trek. And so these will be able to push out there, use on social media, the shorter content ones. And then the longer paragraphs, if you get a chance, I won't read through all of them right now. If you get a chance, it just talks about from a positive standpoint of how we're trying to encourage people to recreate and view the tarantulas in a responsible and respectful way. I have since, so these, I think we finalized these, Colleen, after we ended up having a May meeting, I think. So these were all finalized for that. I've since had, based on this We Are Southeast Colorado that we'll talk about, I had a news interview. And was able to talk about a lot of these themes. I attended a media reception in Denver for the Outside Festival, where I was also able to push and talk about these themes and share the news release that had these themes in them. And then part of our, which I will also talk about later, we got a lot to go with this We Are Southeast Colorado, we were able to talk about those themes there. And I handed both the reporters and the media this here, so that after the interviews they had all of this so that they can help us with that messaging. Also, as part of the deliverables that we got was a communications toolkit, which that's kind of an interesting word to use. It's more of like a spreadsheet to say how we can use the themes. We've had conversations with the public affairs person from the U.S. Forest Service, as well as CDOT, and they're willing and able to help us push this information out, so we'll get them the news release. So the toolkit can just help us. We've got some hashtags that we can use on social media, so I think it's really going to be helpful with what we can be able to promote, get that messaging out there. And then based on that, if you guys remember our tourism management grant that we did, that included the microsite for the tarantula trek, the infographic, and I'm trying to remember what else. We're going to take that infographic. I'm in the process of trying to get some quotes on what the cost will be for that, and we're going to update it with these themes so that they're in that infographic. We're going to update the QR code, and so that it'll go to the microsite that has this, and be able to push that out and promote that as well. So we're really excited. I'm really excited about this. I'll let Colleen talk to how she feels the whole process went, but I think it's really great to have this for us to have some messaging that we can really, consistent messaging that we can put out there. Did you want to add anything, Colleen?
Well, I was impressed that, the state patrol showed up every time. The sheriff couldn't always come. The commissioners came. We did have a private landowner once, but CDOT was there, a lot of Forest Service folks. And so I really think we hit a lot of the players that are involved, and, maybe come up with a few strategies to help. Not that it's gonna stop every person to making an unwise choice when they see a spider, but hopefully it will help. So our main goal is, we really don't want to have somebody seriously injured or killed because they do something crazy in the middle of the highway. So, that would put a real damper on our whole festivities. So, but I thought it went really good. There was a lot of good input, and CDOT's not always easy to get a hold of, and two members of CDOT were there, and they seem very willing to, they're gonna put those signs out again like they did last year, that, the informational signs. And I think maybe they'll bring in a few more, it sounded like, so.
Yeah.
So I thought it went really well, and I think it was a good timeline. It didn't drag out too long, but it gave us enough time to review, and of course Amy's always great.
She is.
She's such a good person to work with, so I was impressed.
All of these themes came from the first meeting. She went around and asked everybody, State Patrol, CDOT, like what are the things that you're seeing? And so that's where all of these themes were. We actually she started with 4, and the more we talked about it, she had kind of put the habitat and heritage and the private property were kind of lumped into one. And once she had presented these ideas to us, we started talking, and it came out that they're both equally important, and it felt like they both got lost when they were lumped together. So that's how we ended up with the 5 themes. And I don't think it's overwhelming by having many of them, and in certain situations it might not be relevant to use some of the other pieces. So yeah, I think it was a really good group, and they're eager to continue meeting as needed. We're going to meet again in August, and hopefully we'll be able to have some of the printed stuff for them to have and take back. But it's been really great to just have them as part of the conversation.
Well, is CDOT, when they put out the signage and that sort of thing, is it just going to be around the Tarantula Festival, or is it around Tarantula season?
This entire working group was really based around tarantula tourism season.
Cool. Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure they were going to be able to put those signages out for a prolonged amount of time, and not just the weekend of the festival.
Yeah, and that's where I think worked really hard to separate it, and not to take anything away from the Tarantula Fest, but it's so much more,
right? Because the season lasts so much.
Exactly, and so that's one of those things that we tried really hard to talk about the entire season instead of just that one weekend.
I really like Tarantula aren't dangerous to humans stopping on the road.
Isn't that a powerful way to say that?
That pretty much says everything in one. It's not it's still promoting the tarantulas. It's not scare tacting the spiders, you know. But I think that I really like that.
And I think Amy worked really hard, and it was one of the conversations we had, is we didn't want to come across as like lecturing kind of way.
I like that it's still cute and
Yeah,
fun. I mean,
yeah.
it's like,
But
it's
needed
not,
to be taken serious
Yes,
at the
yeah.
same time. So,
it's straight to the point, but
yes, yeah. So are there any questions around this? The infographic will come out as a result of that, and the updated. So as a side note, I feel like I have so much information to give you guys, so I'm sorry if it feels like a lot, but we didn't meet last month, and there's been a lot that I've been working on. The tarantula, going back to the tarantula microsite, when we had that built, I was very clear with our consultant that I wanted it needed to be updatable, that we needed to be able to change. Somehow, some way that got lost in translation, and so, you know, Colleen knows this, when we were trying to update the video to change the times, because it was a special page, we had to go through them, and that's why we had the whole website built the way it was. So I sent our consultants an email and saying, you know, we need to figure out a way for us to be able to update this, because here we are with all these things and content, and I can't just go up and plunk it on there. So we had a conversation, they agreed, and they're going to reformat the page, and they've actually sent me a draft to look at it's called a Breezy editor, which was the format that was used for the Tarantula Fest page, which was so easy for me to update. I was able to go in and change the dates within seconds. So they're doing that at no cost. I do have that for review. I've been on vacation. I can send that out if everybody wants to look at it. It might not be as cool with the moving, you know, the sliding menu bar, but the important part is the information is there. And I think we need to be able to get that information in a quick and, you know, ever changing. So that is in process. We're not going to be needing any cost on that. I also had a larger conversation about, I know that we're talking about wanting to update the website for 2024. It's time for us to get a new look. So I did have a conversation with them about what that would look like. I've asked them to provide some quotes for us. I was very clear in that meeting that, again, and maybe it seems a little backwards, but because we're a small organization and we don't have a lot of people to do this, the number one priority needs to be that we're able to update and control the content. I don't think we need a customizable page that looks so fancy that we can't control it. It causes a lot of issues. So I think our website works. I think you know, the way we have it with the stay play works really well. And so I think we're just, what we talked through is more of a facelift than a complete redesign. I think a lot of the content is really still good. I think there could be some areas where maybe we tighten it up and we look at that, but I think we can, you know, we can take a look at that. Getting this added will be important. There were a few pages that I do think we want to add that we kind of had talked about, an industry partners page where we can have some back-end information on who Tourism Board is, where our annual reports live. So, I mean, Visit La Junta is visitor-facing, which is the point of it, but if we can have like one page that we can point to say this is who we are, and I know that's always a challenge with the city website, is it's hard to find where our stuff lives. So if we have a page where our stuff can live. So, haven't gotten the quote for that. I feel like I'm not sure the process that we need to go through, because this isn't a new, you know, when we did the new website, it was a entirely new thing, and we had to go through a bid process, and I'm not sure if we're going to have to do that. So I will talk to purchasing and finance to make sure, you know, but if you guys would like us to go through that to see, I don't know, I go back and forth because, you know, our current consultant has worked with us. They've created our brand, so they're very familiar with what we're doing. But if we want to go through that process, again, we can as well. So.
I don't think it's
Okay.
necessary.
Okay.
I like our website.
Okay, so if you guys are comfortable with the quote that we get from, and they have officially changed to Destination IQ. I call them VistaWorks, but they kind of use both. If we're comfortable with what Destination IQ comes as a quote, then we can, and I did ask for like a customized, or not a customized, but how do you say, line by line, the itemized, thank you. So that'll be forthcoming. So those are just some updates on the website that I wanted to give you guys to let you know that is in process as well. Any questions on those things?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So when they going back to the themes, when
Yeah.
they do the infographics and that sort of stuff, is it something that we can do some paid advertising on social media with?
Yes.
Is that like the goal, like push goal?
Well, the idea of the infographic was, and I forgot to print it out. I printed so much stuff I can send it. The idea was if you don't have cell phone service, we'll have a page for you to take. And through this working group, we talked about, should we do a hang tag for your rearview mirror? What would be easiest?
Yeah.
And we had this infographic that was created, but we didn't get it. Weren't able to get it printed in time for the festival last time. So this seems like it's a good fit. So that was the other thing too, that like the Forest Service and CDOT and State Patrol was saying, it would be nice to have information there that they can have available to hand out, and in partnership with,
make a really nice poster or something like that. It might be a cool infographic to push out before they get here.
Yeah.
To see that, so that the theming is just like, I don't know, it's just consistent and
Yes.
is hitting. And if it's, maybe we can start it in September, just like a paid push,
yeah.
because when people travel here, before they go out, they're gonna get,
Mhm.
in their Facebook feeds or their Instagram feeds or whatever.
Yeah. And as part of the quote we're looking at to update the infographic is to create a poster
Oh, yeah.
that then the Comanche grassland could have with the QR code that would then go to this page.
Cool.
So, but we can definitely look at integrating it with some of our,
Doing some social media
advertising.
push at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which leads me to the next update I wanted to give. And the report in your packet isn't great. It didn't print out very well. It has a big black line through it, so I can email. Just as a reminder, the You Would Never Guess campaign, we received the grant, and the video was only part of that to be directed to our landing page. And so right now, as part of the grant, Destination IQ is monitoring that, and they're reporting the SEO on that. So I met with them last week, and they were very impressed with our website and what we're doing, and this opened my eyes because because even before our ads started running, we have been doing really well with Tarantula Trek and capturing that audience on Google. So a lot of these numbers are really, really great. Lindsay, our consultant, did share a lot of the industry averages for some of these things, like click-through rates and all of the things that I am going to ask them to come in the report on this one time for us, so they can walk it through it just like they did, but like the page views and the conversions and all of that stuff, when she's comparing it to industry averages, is really great. It's also opened my eyes a little bit. This probably gets more in the weeds than you want to know, but Google Analytics used to be Google Universal, and we had to go to a Google A4. They got us changed out. Our reporting under Universal Analytics was not great. So this is going to be from May 1st, really on to next year, we'll be able to have really some good analytics. But I thought it was really interesting. One of our top, it makes sense. but one of our top page views right now is the swimming pool. And I've been kind of monitoring this, and it continues to be. So I went and I think because there's nothing on the city of La Junta, people are trying to find it. There's a lot on social media, but where's the schedule? How much does it cost? And this is why I think it is so important for us to have that back end control. I just went on the backside, updated what Parks and Rec went out. We discovered that the phone number wasn't working, so they got that fixed. And as you'll see, I think you can still see on your report that the swimming pool from May 1st, and these dates are from May 1st to June 17th, is our third highest page. And on the report that I'm viewing, which is dynamic, which like I said, I can have them come and report, you know, I can dig in much more to all the page views and see all of the things. So much information coming, and kind of your question, Tracy, that you were talking about, the social, the ads. You know, we have these search ads, which I don't think they printed. I'm trying to think what page is printed. I guess you can see clicks by CTR by day and by average, though that is based on our Google ad search. And so we get to see, she was going to look into the conversion rate. She felt like the conversion rate was a little wonky on all the things, so she was going to look into that. But we can just really dig into all of these things and see, you know, geographic location, all of those things. So I think it's great information to see how well this campaign is performing, and then also to dig into all the other things that how our website is performing. Any questions there? I know it's a lot of information she presented to me, and it was like, well, this is great, but it's a lot.
That little campaign, you would never guess, looks like it's really gotten a lot of, and that hasn't been out that long.
Nope, just May 1st.
Yeah, that's good.
And to that point, we were a little bit behind our timeline, and so our original timeline was going to start ads in December and go through September, but because this was our first time kind of doing a campaign and everything took a little longer to get approved, just Friday, I submitted a grant extension request, so we can still, because it would have been 10 months of advertising, but the grant ends in September. And so we were able to get a grant extension. So we've extended the advertisement. It'll go from May 1st to February 2025. It's still within the same ad budget. We had budgeted that amount, so it's going to be spread out. So while I think the tarantula tourism is great, I think one of the things we wanted to do with this You Would Never Guess campaign is also highlight what else we have here. So I think outside of the tarantula tourism season, it'll be nice to see how this campaign performs. All based on that video, which, as you can see in that video, it's very much highlighting all of what La Junta has to offer. I can also send this link if you guys, it's a dynamic report that you can dig into and you can play around with. They said they were very sure to make sure to tell me I can't break it because I didn't want to click something wrong and then mess up the report. So if I can send that out as a follow-up to our email or our meeting today. Yeah, go ahead and send that. And then if there's any questions specifically, I was thinking it would be nice when we get closer, maybe a midpoint, to have her come and walk us through this, because it really was helpful for her to spend time of what it all means. Okay, any other questions on that? That's the update on the tourism recovery grant. Short-term rental compliance, that turned out to be a little bit more challenging than I had anticipated, but I think we got it figured out. We had to get the parcel data for all of the jurisdiction. It was very complex, and it took a good month for me to figure out how to do that and work with the county. But fortunately, Martin and Elisa with city engineering and city finance, they also needed the data for some of the think it's called ADG that they use because it, you need updated information, and they hadn't updated it for a while. So we were able to get that updated data. I think we'll probably see a charge of maybe $46 for this data. I think we decided to split it between the 5 city departments that will use this data. But basically what it does is it takes all of the registered parcel data, ownership, all of that's in the Otero for La Junta, for the county's information. And then from there, they were able to identify the short-term rental places. So I did print out a report. I don't know where I put it. It was ridiculously small, so I could barely read it because there's a lot of information. But I can send it out so you guys can see. It identifies the listing, it identifies the address, it identifies how many rooms, it identifies when they booked last, when they were last active. So it's all of the information that we were hoping to get from this, and it's all via a dashboard that we're able to log into. And so that was kind of step 1 to get that data, the actual data. The next step is I'm going to be working with Elisa to put together a letter for compliance that then we can send, and we can say, hey, you're not out of compliance because there hasn't been any, but we'll find a way to say that right in the letter so that we can then direct to how you go about paying. And right now there is a way for you to go for lodging facilities to pay online. So we're going to adjust that so we can give the link so that the short-term rentals can pay online. So that's kind of the next step, will be then that compliance piece, that the letter will be living in this dashboard, and then they'll be able to track that too, that the letter went out, have they been compliant, and all of that. So I feel like now that we finally got through this hump of getting the data that we needed, I think it'll start to move a little bit more. But I can...
Do you know what the number was of how many?
Well, they told me that they basically said we need to be patient because they're working through the dashboard and it's going to be changing, and they'll let me know when it's final. And they haven't let me know, so it has been interesting to kind of look and see how things are moving. I don't know where I put my sheet, but I don't know the number. Yeah.
What constitutes a short-term rental?
Well, so it's basically anything that would be listed on, I think most people think of Verbo or, VRBO or Airbnb, but there's also some.
They had to be listed to them?
Well, and that's where it's
Particularly, or
interesting that I'm interested to dig in, because there was a column that said considered if they are a short-term rental, and it said yes or no. So I need to dig in that a little bit more to find that, information. And a lot of I think all of the addresses were in there, but I don't know all of the owner information, so I can tell that they're still building it out, and they did say it would take a while, so.
So short-term rentals wouldn't be included? Is that what you're saying?
Well, right now, short-term rentals, we do not collect lodging tax on it.
Right. I'm thinking of overnight. When you say short-term rental, I'm thinking a month or more.
No, that's the definition for basically what the industry has defined as,
Okay,
an
so I'm just
Airbnb.
confused, but to me, short-term rental is less than like a 6-month or a year lease. Anything beyond that, I mean, that's what I always thought was a short-term
Yeah,
rental.
no, they've pretty much, that's
Okay.
their way of saying, these
So now
Airbnb and VRB or Verbo are the definition of a short-term rental. So if
Okay.
you go and you
stay 3 days,
yeah,
that's short-term rental.
short-term rental,
Okay.
but it's very tricky because there's not a lot of regulations for it,
Right.
for collections
Okay.
of the taxes. So
Sorry about that, I'm just.
no, it's a lot.
And doesn't our tax only, the lodging tax only applies to under 30 days?
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
has to be less than
Less than 30 days, okay.
Yeah.
lodging tax to apply.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So, and I'm learning as we go. When they said they needed the information for the letters, I didn't. But fortunately, they sent example letters of people that have been collecting for years, some that are new at collecting, and so it was very helpful to be able to, because it's one of those things that, like, where do we start? But
so if people have been collecting for years, what have they been doing with the money?
No, I'm saying like I got a letter from New York that we could use as
okay.
like
Okay.
a
Okay.
template.
Sample letters.
Yeah, so their
Okay.
letter is
Okay.
saying, you know, you've fallen behind, you haven't collected, so that letter didn't really apply, but there was still some good language in there that we can use versus somebody that's out of compliance, and so looking through all the examples of the letters, I think we can put together one that really fits our needs of, you're not out of compliance because
Right.
there's never been anything to comply with, and so just
Right.
doing that,
Are
so.
they gonna send out a letter to those people saying effective date of when this is starting?
I mean, and that'll be part of the conversation I need to have with Elisa to see how we want to ramp this up and what it can look like on the back end. So I do feel like there's going to be some
Yeah.
learning to it, and you know, I do know we have some good partners out at KOA that are doing some of the short-term rentals that I know if we called him up and asked him questions and asked him to kind of be our guinea pig, he would probably help us out to work through some of that to make sure that, hey, if we're sending you this letter and we're sending you this link, is it easy on your end to pay? That's the kind of stuff that'll be helpful for us to know. And then in all of this, the city of La Junta is getting a new website, which should be, I'm not sure when that's going live. So there's going to be some trying to navigate that and figure out with that link, that won't live on Visit La Junta's website because it's not Visit La Junta connecting or collecting. So I think there will be definitely some learning to get through. But okay. I did want to talk briefly about this We Are Southeast Colorado. I sent this out. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but just to give an update, from the week of June 24th through the 30th, they will be covering it's going to be all about Southeast Colorado. And we bought the sponsorship package, which has literally all the things that I feel like we've been talking about and we've been wanting to do and just hadn't been cost effective. So I didn't print this out for you guys, I'm sorry, but the first thing, the first thing is a feature story that will be 2 to 4 minutes that will air with the special. So I think that is based on the pre-recorded Loving Living Local interview that they came last week and interviewed me, and I stood in front of the buffalo and they just asked questions that I gave them that, you know, where is La Junta? What is there to do? So it was very much questions we wanted asked versus like a news story where you're not really in control sometimes of the, and then we talked a little bit about the new tarantula themes and content. So that, it's going to be pre-recorded. That is going to air on Thursday. Would that be the 27th? Is that the right date?
Yes, Thursday the 27th.
Thursday the 27th. So that will air, I believe that's like a 9 a.m. time slot. I'll get all these times right. Then the sponsor message, which is the video that I sent out for everybody to review, 10 times throughout the morning news from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Oh no, never mind. I'm sorry. That's just the sponsor name. That's 5 seconds in length. So then that will go included on 10 times station legal identification throughout Fox Morning News from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Sunday at 5 p.m. and at 6:30 p.m. So that'll basically say Visit La Junta is a proud sponsor of We Are Southeast Colorado this week and proud to be home to Southeast Colorado as well. Then our commercial, which is what we showed, will be heavily aired, and then it has all of them. I think it says on the back all of the when it'll be aired. So I can send this out again for you. 80,000 impressions of streaming television content, logo inclusion, a pre-post roll commercial using the same commercial, a banner ad, a feature story that will be highlighted, and then the 30-second commercial. Then on top of that, so that was the paid sponsorship piece. Do you have questions on that?
Well, There was recently Trinidad
Mhm.
was airing quite a bit there at one time. I was wondering if they were a prior, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
We were seeing so much of the Trinidad ads.
Yep, I think they were selected
Sounds
for
quite
that.
good.
And then they, on Friday, so that would be the 28th, they are going to do a live, can't find the words, I'm struggling with my words today, but basically they're going to be broadcasting the news live from a remote location in southeast Colorado. They came to a meeting, there was about 20 people from southeast Colorado that they invited, and we all got to basically pitch what there is here in La Junta and where we think that they should record from. But they made the final decision. It was nothing more than us saying that we have. When they were here last week, I asked, and they answered me without telling me, but it sounds like it could be somewhere in La Junta, but nothing is confirmed. At that point, I think we're just like, that piece we'd like to be in La Junta. Because it could have been.
When will you know?
28th.
Maybe
Yeah.
on Friday the 28th, when everyone's alive.
Yeah, our rep, who I have to get in contact with to let him know that our video, I'll just have him let me know, so when we know, yeah, so. And a lot of it was based on internet, all of that stuff, so that they can, because there's a lot to broadcast the news. So
And they
that
could be waiting to see what the weather conditions are
Yes.
like, if it's outside or inside.
Yeah, so that'll be from the 5 a.m. to that'll be the entire morning newscast, I think, from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., where they'll be on location wherever, saying we're here in, blah blah blah, in La Junta or Lamar or wherever that'll be. So as soon as I find out that, I will confirm. And then on top of that, they made it very clear that what we're doing is the sponsorship, so we're paying to play basically. But you will be contacted possibly for news stories, which we were. I went out to Vocal Canyon with a reporter the week before last, and we talked about the tarantula trek. She was interested in other things that we had going in La Junta, and everything I mentioned, they had a reporter on it. So I was very excited. There was, Ben's Fort, all of these things. But the other one she did that day was on the Brick and Tile Park. So then the way they're going to do it is it'll be heavy news stories that entire week, and then all the sponsorship, just inundating people with all things Southeast Colorado.
Maybe we should have a contest first.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
I know they did an interview out at the fort on Friday.
Yep.
Say that again, I didn't.
They did an interview. Fox was out at the fort last Friday and did an interview with Ashley, the lead interpreter.
Mhm.
It was her last day before she went back to Florida.
Oh, darn.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's kind of an update there. There was a lot working through that, but I think, the video that we had created through this grant for our You Would Never Guess campaign, I think repurposed really nice to be able to showcase and use it for this. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. We had to change the voiceover. We weren't sure about how that worked since we had paid for this person to, so that's why it's a different sound, and we had to go to 30 seconds versus our 52 seconds because it was living on our website, so it could have been as ever long we wanted, but we had a firm 30-second commercial. So I think given that, I think it cut down and trimmed down nicely, and it still highlights all the places we wanted to highlight. I know it probably doesn't go with the script as nicely as the other one, but our call to action is to go to visitlahunta.net, and I think it accomplishes that, and I think it'll do that job.
So you might have said this, but you mentioned that little clip from Ben's Fort being cut. So, did we put something in that place for that couple seconds?
So in this one, and I tried to show here, but I couldn't. I asked him to extend
Just
the the two before.
Okay.
So, and I can show before we leave, because I couldn't get the projector to run. So they just extended, I think, the grassland and then the previous Bensford. Yeah, so. Okay. Speaking of Bensford, I didn't know if everyone saw the news release that went out about the closures that will be happening from July 8th through Friday, July 12th. I still continue to be in contact with Eric, and we had a meeting last week, and he, wanted to keep us informed of what was going on and why this was going on, and so he's communicating with us, and so I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. The other thing with the fort is there's a grant opportunity. It's called the Destination Blueprint that's through CTO, and we did apply last year. We didn't get it, but we ended up getting the mentorship and 100 consulting hours, which actually worked out better. And I was talking with the CTO Destination Development team, and they had, in talking through it, they encouraged us to reapply. One of the things that came from if you guys remember the Destination Stewardship Strategic Plan, one of the things that has come from that is a regional plan, and what has been identified in our Canyons and Plains regional plan is working with the national parks and building that now that we have the 3 national park historic sites and talking about how we can work through that. So we took a step back. As you know, Canyons and Plains has also applied for some things. Our board's not quite as active as it has been, so in talking through with Amy, I had a conversation with Eric at the fort, and I'm going to go ahead and apply for Visit La Junta for this Destination Blueprint. If you remember what we did with the Restart and Reimagine, it includes resident stakeholder survey, a tourism sentiment survey, a workshop where we can all gather and CTO can facilitate that. And I think right now it would be good timing to partner with the National Park Service and try to have those conversations also about now that Amachi's in the mix and how we can be a good partner, Visit La Junta and the National Park Service moving forward. So again, this is a grant. It's not a monetary grant, but it comes with all of those things I mentioned, resident sentiment, and we can decide to do whichever fits. We don't have to do all the things, but the nice thing that is really helpful, it comes with more consulting hours that they can help us do this. So Eric was so kind to provide a letter of support. I'm going to put that application and submit it, and we'll see where we end up. But another great partnership that we have with Visit La Junta, and I think this partnership can lead into then further building on it. We can kind of focus right now on Visit La Junta and Bensfort, and then the next time around, Canyons and Plains can come in and can focus on the whole. Is it High Plains? Is that what the group is called? That includes, yeah, the High Plains group that includes Sand Creek, Bensfort, and Amachi, which I think right now it's just probably to do all 3. It feels like it's a bigger lift than we're able to manage. So I'll keep you posted. It's a competitive, and if we don't get it again, I think in September the option for the Destination Development Mentor and the consulting hours will be available, so we can have that conversation. So are you guys okay with me moving forward on that? I think, the involvement of this board would be great. I think, but I think could be some good conversations to be had, and we can get a really good working group kind of together of what we did with Tarantula Tourism to talk about how to best be partners with the National Park Service. Okay. I know I talked the entire meeting, so I apologize. I did mention the destination stewardship. I will send out an email. They came out with the regional plans for review. If you guys would like to, I might just have to send you really long email with a lot of links for you guys to look through, and if you have questions, you can let me know. But if you'd like to dig into the destination stewardship plan for Canyons and Plains region, feel free, and you can make comments, and kind of what we're applying for the destination blueprint will be based on what's highlighted, and Amy has agreed to kind of walk us through that and help as well. So, and I guess the last thing I'll say, the CTO has the Colorado Governor's Awards. They have, and they're doing nominations, and the way you do the nominations is, I think you pretty much nominate your destination, or so I did have CTO reach out and encourage us to apply for the marketing campaign based on all we've done with the tarantula microsite and everything. There were two. I think there was one that was like an event, and then one was a marketing campaign, but they had recommended that we apply for the marketing campaign. So again, don't know if we'll, but I figured we might as well. We've done a lot of work there, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that out and see what happens. So that would be awarded at GovCon, which is the end of September, which is the exact same time as the Tarantula Fest. So timing is always great, but I'm going to go ahead and apply for that and see what happens for the marketing campaign, and then we can loop in what we just did with this responsible campaign. So.
If we win, you can't go.
Okay.
John, you're going to have to be the.
I know, I was there last year, and I had to go early, I think, because it runs Wednesday through Friday, and I had to go for a pre-thing, and I was getting so many calls, and then we found out that two of our tour guides couldn't go, and I was like, I have to leave. I couldn't stay, so yeah.
I know you've talked a lot, and you probably don't want to talk anymore, but could you tell us a little bit about, you went to Denver for that?
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that and how you felt like it went?
Yeah, so there was a new event in Denver, and it was called the Outside Festival, and it was put on by the Colorado Outdoor Recreation Office, which is under OEDIT. It's called OREC, and they partnered with Visit Denver, a lot of outdoor companies. The idea is for it to be this. Are you guys familiar with South by Southwest in Austin? I guess it's, anyway, like it's supposed to be the South by Southwest for the outdoor recreation industry. So it was a huge event. So right around this time when we were getting all of our approved themes and content, CTO had reached out and said they're having a media reception. If anybody would be interested in going, send a 100-word pitch, and you can go, and you would be able to go to this. Basically, it's a media reception with 30 to 40 journalists. And so I submitted, and we were selected and went, and it was, there's a new hotel up there. I can't remember the name. I should know it. I guess it's quite a big deal. It's like going to be 100% like renewable, everything that they do, and so the backdrop of that. So had some really good conversations with journalists, and I think what's really exciting is when I say I'm from, and I had my Visit La Junta shirt on, and they hear you're from La Junta, and they recognize already before I've even started talking about tarantulas. I feel like it's
We're beginning to be known for
yeah.
that, which
So,
is cool.
As part of that, we were able to submit a 2-page news release that was then sent to all of these journalists and follow up with them. So it'll be interesting to see what will come out of that. But I do think it was a good time spent to go and just meet. And I felt like the timing was perfect because we had just, when I was at that meeting, and I think we had just voted to approve it. And, so it was called the Outside Festival. It should be, they're planning for it to be a big deal year after year. So
Great.
yeah.
Thanks for representing
Yeah.
us.
Thanks for bringing that one up. I kind of glossed over that. Well, I will say one more thing. I keep saying that. As part of what we talked about, it came up at the last meeting that, we've done all these digital ads for the You Would Never Guess campaign, and you guys had shown interest in what can we turn these into print ads. And so I had reached out to VistaWorks, and we had voted to move forward with their plan to help us find advertising and turn basically our You Would Never Guess video campaign into an ad campaign. They sent back a great, it was very informational presentation with all of the publications we had looked into. Unfortunately, we're late for this year because I think we, so we're gonna, I would suggest we still do it. I think the campaign will still be perfect to do it, but this way we'll get a chance to, a lot of the dates we were looking at, the deadline dates were mid-June, early July, and I just with everything else. So I think if we look to run the ads in spring, summer, or fall, so she's gonna look into the media calendars, ad calendars for 2025, and so we'll start planning that, and then we'll start, they can design the ad, which is all included for that, and we could have the conversation about how much then we want to budget for. So that's still in the works. I think we just decided to push it off because it didn't make sense to do some in the, because it'll tell you what issues. So we were looking at like Colorado Life magazine, and November and December, the issue just didn't make as much sense as it would have for the fall or earlier summer. So I think doing it in 2025 will be good for us. So that is still in process. Okay, I honestly think I'm done. I'm not going to say one more thing.
On to board member updates. Do we have anybody that?
I got a couple things. One really quick one. I was talking to Jeremy yesterday. He said somebody broke the window at Times Square on the 3rd Street side. So I guess our
Took off most of it. Says and then there's some date. There's like 27th to 28th, but that's all it says.
Oh no.
So we're gonna have to, either Jeremy will have to go back and repaint if he wants to, or we'll have to clean that off at some point.
Okay.
It's still on the Colorado side, 3rd Street
yeah,
side.
the one on Colorado's still there, but the one on the 3rd
Okay.
Street side is kind of obliterated.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
anyway.
they weren't throwing the rocks or whatever they did at the tarantula.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, and I don't know what Sharon's plans are as far as replacing the window. and
The
stuff.
windows have already been replaced.
Oh, they have been
Yes.
replaced. The window has been replaced.
Yeah, there were two, there's 3 big panels and 2 of them were replaced.
Okay,
So-
all right. Okay. Well, I can talk to Jeremy and see if
Okay.
it's fixable.
Okay.
If he can fix it. Okay. So last week, the CU's, I can't remember the name of it exactly, it's their outreach to community outreach folks came down to La Junta again. They were here 2 years ago, and when I was with Canyons of Plains, we got to work with some students in marketing and do some marketing Facebook stuff, and they helped work on our website, things like that. So anyway, they were back again last week at Otero College, and I went just to see what possibilities there were, and probably the best possibility for us growing out of it is there were some professors there from environmental studies, and I talked to Natalie Uwe, who's a associate professor there, and she talked about a couple programs they have that might be of interest to La Junta. So one is called the Rural Technical Assistance Program, which is kind of a cooperative thing between the Colorado outdoor recreation industry folks, Matt Nunez and CU and CSU actually are all partners on this, and it's a a program where graduate students at CU take on a role as community consultants, and they walk their partners through a facilitated planning assistance process to help them develop a community action plan around outdoor recreation or something like that. They since they're in, it's mainly outdoor recreation that they're interested in, because the Outdoor Recreation Office is a sponsor of this. So you develop kind of an outdoor recreation plan, and then CSU Extension steps in for a couple years after that to assist the communities with implementing the things identified in the plan. So this actually grew out of, I guess, the federal government has a recreation economy for rural communities program, and it's really hard for communities to get that. And dealing with the federal government and federal monies, as Pam knows, is incredibly complicated. So they kind of developed this as a parallel state project, and they just are in the process of, I guess in May, they just finished up with Huerfano County, with Colorado City, and with Rangeley and Dinosaur. And I guess now they're looking at, well, they also have done in the past Louisville, Hayden, and Cripple Creek. So in the next few months, they'll be looking for partners to work with for the next round. And so again, Natalie said if we're interested, to talk to her. She thought it'd be really nice to have some place out on the Eastern Plains that they were working with. So so that's one possibility with them. It's the Rural Technical Assistance Program. And then the other program is the Masters of Environmental Studies program, and they have a capstone project where small teams of students, like 3 or 4 graduate students per team, work with a partner organization for 10 months, again, as external consultants to help the partners explore areas organizations don't have the time or resources to do. And again, here they've done economic impact studies, they've done marketing plans, they've done destination stewardship plans with local communities. Again, she said they kind of have a gap. They've worked with a lot of communities in the mountains in the west, but not in the east, on the plains. So again, they'll be accepting project applications. So those would run through the next school year, basically. So and would then finish up like next May. So they're just 2 possibilities that Natalie brought up that might fit if La Junta's interested. I have her contact information. She said she'd be happy to get with us and talk some more and explain the programs more. So I don't know if maybe we want to invite her to join in like the next tourism meeting next month to talk more about it and answer any questions you guys have about it, and see if this is something we might want to do. Like I said, for Canyons and Plains, we had some really good students. A couple of those grad students that worked with us were really sharp, and did some good work for us. So anyway, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So anyway, so if you want me to, I can reach out to Natalie and.
Yeah, that would be July 16th.
July 16th.
Yep.
Okay. And
If she's able to come and we can do the OWL and Zoom if we need to. I was trying to get the projector
Hooked up today and I couldn't get it to my computer, so if we're not able to, we might need to be in the PowerPoint room. Yeah, so because it wouldn't connect today. So I can try to troubleshoot that though.
All right, so I'll reach out to her and see if she can join on July 16th and talk more about those opportunities and see if we want to go forward and work with CU on those things.
Anybody have anything else?
I just have an update. Pam and I went and talked to the sign shop about getting a banner that spans Colorado Avenue, and it'll say Visit La Junta. It'll hopefully have our QR code, and it's going to be up the whole time, not just during Tarantula Fest. It would be for the whole season. Those signs on the road don't work that great. They're just too busy, and people going by at 60, you can't see them. And then we talked a little bit about a few other signs too, those small signs that hang off the lampposts. I mean, that we're not doing that right now, but that might be something for the future.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation, which I didn't realize that, because we had talked about just even tourism, maybe buying the actual signs, but a lot of the current street lamps aren't
Broken.
They are broken, so they're all going to need some brackets and stuff. So that could be a larger conversation with Main Street or something of how do we update those. And I don't think you have to do the whole street lamp, but it's the brackets that go on there. And there are a few downtown that still have the signs, but I do think it was a good conversation to have about how we can look at the signage for that. So, yeah.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Is that it?
I just have a quick announcement. Children's Theater of La Junta is doing their performance starting tonight through the 22nd, so 7 p.m. And then Picket Wire has, Children's Theater is The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical, so support those kids. And then Picket Wire has, our production is coming up on the 11th through the 14th. So that's coming up fast, so that'll be before the next meeting. And kind of cool, we have one of our leads is not she's not from the Valley. She's just here for the summer visiting her grandma. So we'll have a lot of tourism because people are going to be coming in from out to see her from her college and that sort of thing. So it's kind of cool there. She actually just got back from New York, making her New York debut in a little cabaret out there. So that's really cool. So we're excited to have her join us.
And Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma, yeah. So you might also see a actual Surrey with fringe on top that got put in the building. So it's gonna be cool. There's a lot of cool things going on.
That was plugged on the Living Loving Local, so.
Okay.
So July 16th is what I have, if that works for everyone. Yep. Okay.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Gonna go turn us off so we're no longer live. Thanks, guys.
I'll rush to the next one.
We'll try to come tonight.
Okay, yeah. If you need tickets, if you walk